In 1953, in the midst of the Cold War, the CIA secretly initiated Project MK Ultra. They were looking for brilliant minds, patriots willing to serve their country in unconventional ways. The goal was to develop mind control techniques for use against adversaries. It was presented to them as a unique opportunity to unlock the hidden potential of the human mind. The first phases consisted of cognitive tests designed to measure their ingenuity. Each success was an affirmation, proof that they were special. The apparent goal was to expand the limits of perception and memory. They felt part of something avant-garde, something that would change the world for the better. The audio sessions were presented as relaxation techniques to improve concentration. But every response, every reaction was meticulously recorded and analyzed. That's when they introduced performance-enhancing supplements, an act of blind faith that would mark the beginning of the end. The experiments involved the use of psychedelic drugs, such as LSD, to alter behavior. Often, the subjects did not give their informed consent. The consequences for the mental and physical health of the subjects were often devastating. Brainwashing techniques, such as sensory deprivation and isolation. Not everyone involved in the project was indifferent to suffering. Isolation was part of the protocol, but sometimes a simple presence was a lifeline. The subject Zero had learned to distrust everything, even kindness. She knew that the mind needed an anchor, something to connect it to reality. He responded in the only language he had left, visual fragments of his distorted world. She documented every little change, every sign that her mind was wandering. Days that turned into weeks in an endless cycle of tests and silence. The project manager was unaware of the invisible bonds that were forming. The experiments progressed, with increasingly potent and dangerous doses. She began to question the oath she had taken. The body resisted, but the mind surrendered. The only antidote is a misstep. He knew the risk was death, but silence was the worst of crimes. The surveillance was constant, but boredom made the guards careless. An opportunity, a moment of weakness in the system. You have to leave, now. He stood up, not as the subject, but as the man. It gave him a path, a contact outside the walls, one last supportive glance before each went their separate ways. The escape was not freedom, but the next phase of the struggle. A sound, an indication that his absence had already been noticed. The way out, a world that now seemed more complex and threatening. The goal was to find the man who had been a victim, and now he could be his only salvation. The outside world was vast and cold. I would find the other victims, the forgotten ones, the first clue, the first step towards the truth. Going in there meant leaving behind everything I believed in. Some experiments caused irreversible psychological damage. The project extended to Canada, where psychiatrist Donald Ewan Cameron conducted even more extreme experiments. The direction led him to a sanctuary of a broken mind. He recognized the language of chaos. It was a mirror of his own torment. Each stroke was a silent scream, proof that he wasn't the only one, proof that there was no escape, but he was not alone. There he was, an echo of a man. In her gaze, she saw her own destiny, the silent greeting of the condemned. Hope became the cruelest of lies. Reality, that fragile construct, began to give way. He had not escaped from prison. He had only entered a larger cell. The program didn't end when you left the building. The program was inside him, and it was about to restart. The identity of many subjects was erased forever. In 1973, CIA Director Richard Helms ordered the destruction of most of the MK Ultra files to hide the truth. But not all records disappeared. Despite the efforts, the CIA never achieved the total mind control it sought, but the human cost was incalculable. Decades later, many victims and their families still have not received justice or recognition for what happened. Project MK Ultra was officially discontinued, but its echoes still resonate. A shadow in history that reminds us of the dangers of unchecked power and the price of secrets.